I find it really interesting that you come from theater and then you become an agent. And I want to learn how is kind of like your beginnings and all this transition as well.
Sure, sure. So I definitely, back in, so I was in New York. I went to school in New York, theater school in New York, and then I moved back to Los Angeles. Um, Dates aren't important, are they? And I started, and I created a one-woman show with a friend, and I did that, and that went really well. And then from that, I actually creating that show. What I fell in love with was the process of creating it. Performance was amazing, but the process. So I took a sidestep and I took a studio job. I worked at Universal Studios, and I worked in the development department. And so I was like, oh, yeah, I really like developing that show. I want to do development. And so I took a job in development. And then I realized, oh, yeah, no, I didn't want to do that. I decided I didn't want to do that. And then I had an opportunity from there to go into casting. And while still pursuing a career as an actor at the time. And then I went into casting for a while. And from there, the opportunity came to temp at an agency. Way in the back, way back. It was an opportunity. Just, I was like, yeah, I'll come in and temp, pay me cash, give me the trade, good to go, right? That was on a Monday, and by Friday they had offered me the job.
Oh wow!
So it was an opportunity, and that job was as a voiceover agent, and so I had an opportunity to take a different road and to sort of explore and see. And that was 28 years ago. So I did, and quite honestly, the first, 10 years of being an agent, I really wasn't sure I wanted to do it. I kept trying to find ways to get out of it. It just kept pulling me back and pulling me back. Then I realized that I was in the place I was supposed to be, because being a voiceover agent and really direct, at the time, we used to direct the actors in the booth. So I used to be able to work much more closely with my clients. And I realized that I was able to take what I do, what I learned as an actor, and apply that with directing actors. So then I was like, oh, I see universe. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be, because it's taking all the skills that I learned and now teaching me new things, right? And so So I just leaned in, and then when I leaned in, my career really took off, and things really started to change and advance for me. So that's really how it came. It sort of found me. I really wasn't looking for it, but there it is.
Yeah. I mean, all these moments that, as you say, like you try kind of like to pursue some things, but then like life just takes you and puts you down and say like, hey, you have to take this direction instead of what you are trying.
That's right. That's right.
And yeah, like for me, it feels very organic, your transition.
And it really is. It is super organic. That is.
And having the possibility and the ability to bring a lot of knowledge into kind of like the other side of the profession. And you said that sometimes you were like, I'm not sure. So there has been kind of like any turning points in your career that you were kind of like, okay, maybe this is what I should do. I'm not meant to be doing this or not. Like, were you kind of like in between, or you say like, no, voiceover agent, let's go all the way?
Yeah, no, I would say probably, the first, probably about the first 8 to 10 years of my voiceover, my agent career, I really, really wasn't sure that I really wanted to continue doing it. And then I think, there was just a point where it just connected. And I was like, oh, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I would say that was probably, oh my goodness, that was probably maybe 12 or 15 or so years ago. I don't know. The math is all over the place, but it's been 20 this May. In fact, actually March or so this year just made 28 years as a voiceover.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Portia, I keep hearing, I've been interviewing more voiceovers, and I mean, I'm very close to a lot of voiceovers, friends, organizations, networks, and everything. And I always keep hearing it's really important to get an agent. And it's kind of like an agreement, no, like for many different reasons. But I want you to tell me why it's so important to have an agent as a voiceover.
Sure. So it is important because, well, first off, you're going to get access to material that you won't get access to without an agent. The big and glossy animated features, animated series, those casting directors reach out mostly to the agent community to have their clients read on an audition. So if you're really looking for animation, TV feature, you need an agent. Or some high profile promos, trailers, commercial campaigns, high-end union commercial campaigns, and even the AAA video games. So really the cream of the crop content is really filtered through the agent community. So if that is where you're looking to grow your career as an actor, you want to have an agent.
Yeah. So I see the different profiles, because it's true that when we talk about voiceover, it's kind of like we take for granted that kind of like voiceover is one thing, but there are kind of like, as a voiceover, you can have so many different kind of like career options, kind of like commercials, audiobook, animation, many things. So
even if you wanted to do corporate narration, you're not going to necessarily need an agent to really land into that part of the field. I think that is work that actors can get, you know what I mean, without having to have an agent. There's things to do without an agent, but there are also so many different areas of voiceover to pursue. So you're absolutely right in that regard.
My next question is, what's one thing you wish all the voiceover actors or the voiceover who approached to you knew before reaching out to you? So what would be kind of like what you would tell them, like prepare this, or maybe kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah. So, when submitting, right, for consideration of representation, you want to make sure you're sending in your demo, that you're attaching your demos, that your demos are attached to the email. Don't send me to a link, because I may not do the link. I might not trust it. Don't send me to your website. Just attach your demos. If you really want, and attach the demo where you have your strength. So if commercial is your strength, attach that. Animation, video game, what have you. And then in the body of the email, send me a little bio about you, just you in the world of voiceover, and send me what you have, your home studio, what your home studio stats are, what your microphone is, what your interface is. Do you have a treated space? Do you have a dedicated booth? Do you have studio groups? Do you have a whisper room? Tell me and other agents what you have. And I'm based in Los Angeles, which is, primary market. If you're based outside of Los Angeles, I need to know if you have Source Connect. No real sell here, but truth of the matter is, if you're not based in Los Angeles, I'm not signing you unless you have Source Connect. Because that is a lot of jobs come in that say, hey, LA only for remote studio. So I need, and we don't want to have to deal with, and a lot of times the buyer may not want to deal with the studio. Do you know what I mean? They want to book you directly from your home studio. So those are things that are important to know when submitting, so that I can make a quick determination if we're a fit.
Mhm. It's true. It's true that, well, for me, voiceover is one of the most exciting and passionate careers, but also like very, very difficult because you have to be kind of like your own entrepreneurship. You have to be like your own lawyer. You have to be also like your personal branding. You have to do a lot of like technical kind of like investment and research on your kind of like home studio or not maybe. So it's kind of like really complex until you get to the point to do a casting or an audition, right? So all of this, I think, it's part of the job. So it's part of also like the agent, not kind of like having these different filters for an audition even before listening. Actually, that's kind of like
Right. That's right.
yep. So all right, this is kind of like a very personal question. So how do you find, and not being kind of like very philosophical, but I guess kind of like how do you find voices, right? What's kind of like the fit for a voice, or is kind of like more of because voice is so subtle and so kind of it's super powerful, but like the difference sometimes of one actor to the other, one actress to the other, is kind of very subtle. So I want to know more or less kind of like what's the magic behind each of this decision.
First off, I'll tell you that we don't really find voices. We find actors because voiceover is really voice acting, right? And so we find actors who have range, who can deliver a performance with range, depth, dynamics, that can understand transitions and how to deliver those transitions without creating a voice. So we're not, and voiceover, it evolves over time. And maybe once upon a time, voiceover was a place where if you could do particular kind of voices, it was an opportunity to work in the industry. But really now it's about voice actors and representing actors. So that's what I'm looking for. Like I'll get an email, somebody will say, "Oh, I do 22 voices." And I'm like, "That's fantastic." But that has nothing to do with what I do. What I do, and I don't represent voices, I represent actors.
Yeah.
Actors who can deliver the performance that's required. And so when considering actors for representation, that's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to find the range, right? I'm trying to see if you can deliver a commercial script, and in that commercial script, you can tell the story without telling the story.
Yeah.
And so people connect to, right? Same thing in animation. I'm looking for you to give me a character, a read that's going to have range and depth and dynamics and things like that. So that's what I'm looking for are voice actors.
That's I think perfect answer, because also now we understand the also kind of the power of coming from theater education as well. So I think you see the voice as kind of an embodied kind of thing. So who is able to perform, to kind of narrate, but also to transmit many things. That is not only the voice. It's kind of like the very beautiful, very beautiful. Thank you so much. And I want to link this, Portia, because also as like you have such a kind of like long career, and also you have kind of like learned so much, and you have such a kind of like huge toolkit of knowledge and everything. And I'm kind of like interviewing also like a lot of kind of like professionals and voiceovers and engineers and everything that I'm kind of like so inspired by. And I know you have also a kind of like a mission of educating and transmitting all of this knowledge and everything. So this is something that I want you also like to share with us, all your curriculum, method on the mic, actor toolkit, and art of the pivot. So if you can also like tell us about this, I'm kind of all ears.
Absolutely. So I So I created it myself and a partner, Malik Berger. We created a curriculum for university, for education. And really that was built out of, I don't know, some years ago, I sort of learned that, oh my goodness, the actors weren't connecting their on-camera work, or they weren't connecting with the scripts in a way that meant that it was about acting and not creating a sound of the character. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, which then prompted me to I was teaching a class. I started to teach a class at a theater in the San Fernando Valley called the Whitefire Theater, amazing theater in Sherman Oaks. And I would teach a class on Sundays, and it would be one Sunday, it would be just technique, and it's at a theater, so no microphones, none of that. It would just be sort of the base of technique.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I teach that class on a Sunday, and then I'd hand out scripts at the end of that class, and we'd come back, and the following Sunday, the actors would then stage it. So instead of standing and reading it in front of the microphone, they would physicalize it, and they would stage it, not memorize it, script in hand, because we don't memorize in voiceover, and they would stage it, and it taught us so much about the character that we weren't exploring and getting to because we weren't physicalizing it. I always think voiceover is really kind of producing little mini plays, because you're really doing everything but the writing, right? And so I went back, I don't know, that was from like 2012 up into the pandemic. I would teach that. And it was just such an artistic joy for me to be in the theater and to sort of be enlightening actors and bringing this information in, you know, completely educational. And so during the pandemic, we couldn't do that, right? So I started thinking, I said, you know what, I really think that this needs a second component. We need a performance piece to go with the technique. And I feel like all the colleges need to know, because the colleges have their graduating performances. And they reach out to the agent community, casting community, studios, and you have these performances that you do for a collective audience and such, right? And I was realizing that the actors haven't had any training, any experience, anything in the world of voiceover.
Wow.
So it's not in the curriculum still to this day. And so they were graduating and then maybe making a decision that they wanted to go into voiceover and having to reinvest all of the education, all of the money that you just spent 4 years, you're probably in debt, right? For going to college. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So during the pandemic, I rang Malik Berger, and I said, hey, listen, I have this idea. And I think that because she has her teachings, which is art of the pivot. And she has her which is a more performance-based technique. And my technique is more technique-based. So we sort of, put them together, and we built out a 4-year program, probably about, 5 to 7 classes per semester.
Wow.
And each year, they're getting more advanced. And because Malik is a working actor and I'm a working agent, we have access to the community we can bring and fold into the curriculum and get that going. So at this point, we are talking, in fact, we just took a meeting yesterday. We are talking to a very prominent university that we're hoping to get it in. We may beta test it and get it up for maybe 6 weeks, do a summer course, see how it's responded, and then sort of graduate from there. And then in the meantime, we've been teaching it individually where possible, just to grow and to learn. And, I'll teach parts of it in an X session, let's say at VO Atlanta or in some version of that. And I have to tell you, the response is always pretty good. And, just have people just reach out and say, oh my God, my agent said to me, what did I do different? I submit these auditions in and it's different. And I'm like, well, you have a technique now. You have
Yeah.
a way to work, a way to prepare your work so that you're delivering exactly what you want to deliver. And it's fun too. So that's the program method on the mic. The Actor's Toolkit, Art of the Pivot. It is copywritten, so don't even try. So yeah, that's my, you know what I mean? I think that's the place. You know, probably at some point I'll look to transition out of agenting. I'll retire at some point because I'm going to. And then really go full force into that, and to, you know, where we can, whatever colleges we can get it into, and it's global. You know, I'm looking to come to London next year, where I'll be teaching some of it. I'll be in Barcelona next year as well, teaching it. So I'm also, it's, you know, it's international. We're looking to get into the colleges, so that we really, this is what I'll say. One of the last things I'll say is that we really consider ourselves the bridge between the educational world and the professional world. We built the bridge so that when the actors graduate, they can come out with a demo. That, you know, the average cost of a demo is $3,000 USD, and that's a lot of money to spend.
Yeah.
And you're going to come out of college with a demo and potentially with an agent with representation. So that's my goal. That's what I'm hoping to leave as sort of as my legacy.
Yeah. Well, and I know it's really big. It's really big, Portia, but I know that's not only your legacy. I think, like training and making accessible to students or to kind of like talent through education and training, it's really, really important. This bridge that you're saying. But also I know that you're doing a lot of kind of like good efforts, and part of your career is based on also like providing a lot of kind of like support to a diverse community. That's correct. And me personally, as part of Source Elements and also as an individual outside of Source Elements, of course, but I'm a big kind of like advocate of supporting and empowering and kind of creating fair conditions if I can. That's part of also of a legacy I want to build for others and for myself. I mean, and I want also to know, Source Elements also, like, I take this opportunity also to say, like, we have kind of like the scholarships. We just partner with SOVAS also to provide like a lot of like scholarships. So SOVAS and Source Elements, we are providing scholarships until January. For also like kind of like underrepresented minorities, people with financial difficulties and everything. So we have software and training as well. So we know how important it is to get trained, but also like the technical thing. So
to our curriculum.
Yeah.
We need to add those elements to our curriculum, though, to come in and help train the actors.
Oh, definitely. This is part of we have an academy. And in this academy, we have kind of like all the certifications and the trainings and everything. And it's part of our scholarship as well. So we offer this for the scholars. So, yeah. So, you as an advocate of also kind of like the industry in general, but also kind of like more kind of like a diverse kind of like advocate as well. How also, like, I think the localization play kind of like a big role here, because I've been also interviewing people from all over the world and everything. So what's kind of like your bird eye kind of like perspective of kind of like diversity in the BO, and also like what you can do in the, or what you kind of like as an advocate can help.
What you're asking here, and I think that, you know, first I'll say As far as I know, as far as I think, I might be the only Black voiceover agent in the Los Angeles area. There may be others that I don't know. And if there are others out there, speak up, let yourself be known, so that I cannot say that. I cannot say that anymore. So there's that, and so I really am a representation for things that are diverse. And I'm very much diversity and inclusion is important. I'll say this, back during the pandemic, we had a thing in this country in 2020, 21, where you may have heard George Floyd. You might.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yes. Yeah. So when we all witnessed that heinous murder, it set off alarms. It set things off in the country. And so a lot of companies and places made huge pivots for DEI, which we now are seeing being eroded and are reversed, sadly. But more importantly, what that triggered in the voiceover community specifically are more opportunities for people of color, not just Black, but Asian, all, it really triggers that. So what happened, and at that time the world knew, the world didn't know, but the community knew that there were animated shows that were people of color that were being voiced by people who were not. So that immediately got corrected. And I think that inspired the studio creators and developers and stuff to create content for people of color. And not specifically people of color, but just create stories that are stories maybe surrounded by community and creating really good stories and hiring people who are of color that has nothing to do with the fact that you know what I mean, what's being said on the page. It's just really the best actor for the read. They opened up those opportunities. So which was great, because then you work on a show called Transformers Earthspark, which is a Nickelodeon show, and which is a huge IP, right? IP brand. And my client who plays the mom on that show, she is a Black woman. And, before that, we really didn't see Black people in those kinds of roles on animated shows. And on that show, she is Black, her husband is Filipino, and kids are mixed. So, and not because the script calls for that in that way. It's just that those were the people who won the job. That's the job. So it's having the studios open up those opportunities people of color, and of course not only just people of color, but LGBTQIA folks, the disabled community, right? Opening up those opportunities for those actors to be heard. And and also to have our agents not be gatekeepers, right? To have agents who are open to submit. If the character doesn't say, if it's all ethnicities, then by all means submit all ethnicities. Submit all of that, because then you're opening up the community to learn different things. Because someone who's going to come with the culture behind them is going to have maybe a different vibe on that read and give you something that maybe someone who that has a different culture on the read. So it's really having the agents to know that, hey, let's open up the roster. Let's find more people who are diverse so that we give them the opportunities. And long before all of this happened, I often would just submit people of color no matter what. I was like, oh, this is, I was doing that anyway. But now they're being heard. Now they're being cast. Now they're being written for. So, so community, voiceover community, really took a big turn and opened up the business in that regard for a pretty diverse market. And even though things are reversing, I'm not seeing that happen in our industry. In fact, when I was at VO Atlanta last month, I talked about that on my panel with agents. I had some fantastic agents on the panel, and I brought that up, and they were all in agreement that we really are not seeing that pullback the way we are with certain businesses industry right now. I mean, in other industries.
No, totally. Well, first, I mean, I kind of like want to thank you and congratulate your kind of like work and your impact as a agent and also as a Portia. I think it's kind of like hand to hand, but also like different kind of like characters. You have different kind of like power decision, no, on this. Definitely huge impact as an agent on kind of like how you said, like all the gatekeepers can be also kind of part of not making kind of like a diverse or inclusive option, no? So yeah, and also I think as well that as I see also some kind of like retrograde in some kind of like, or kind of like not, I don't want to say retrograde, kind of like AI is kind of like, I don't want to say this, I don't want to talk too much about this because I'm a bit over kind of like but I see kind of like some like a homogeneous kind of like trend with AI and everything, but at the same time I see kind of like localizers, localization, agents, casting are more rich than ever, are looking into kind of like authentic characters, kind of like we have never seen so much refinement in characters and representation as before, no? As you were saying. So
yeah, no, definitely. For lots more opportunities. Yes.
Yeah. Definitely. So we're towards the end of the hour, Portia. So I would like to ask you just a couple of things. So one that it's kind of like how or which kind of like challenges or how do you see kind of like the voiceover industry now, like moving towards what, or kind of something that we should keep an eye to.
What I think that we're mostly, looking to continue to expand. We had an industry strike in 2023, which really affected our animation world. So animation was sort of, on a little downtrend on that last year, but now I'm seeing a rise in it. We hope to bring more production back to Los Angeles because that's super important. There are a couple of bills creating some tax incentives, and animation is part of that. So I'm super excited about that. And just as industry, as we progress, I think that we'll probably look to see, big live action films become animated content. I have no doubt that Sinners is going to be some sort of animated series, some sort of animated content, animated movie is coming. So I'm sort of I'm sort of anticipating that a lot of animated content is going to become, a lot of live action content is going to become animated. That feels like a trend that is going to grow and happen. So I'm sure Wicked will definitely become some sort of animated. It's musical.
Oh, wow, definitely.
You know what I mean? Wicked will probably become something. This is prediction. I read, I've met, I don't know. But, just in terms of trends and things, that's what I think I foresee to happen. Because there's so much you can build out of that. You can make an animated film, you can make a series, and it can go on and live. Do you know what I mean? With good content, we want it to live on.
Oh yeah.
And Wicked is an extension of the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And how many iterations has it had? The film, the book, the film. We had a musical adaptation, The Wiz. We had a revival on Broadway last year. So I think that these are I think our big IP films, local property. It's what I mean by IP. Will continue to grow and become content in the animation space.
Wow. No, I totally, I totally see it. Yeah. And I'm a big fan of animation as well, so I will enjoy everything. Great. So just the very last question before we get to an end, unfortunately. So any kind of advice to the people who might be watching us or will watch us in the future as well? To it's kind of like a voiceover or kind of like an agent that is watching us or kind of like anything that you want to share?
I would say mostly to the actors, because I think that's going to be your primary audience here, right? Is prepare yourselves, work on your craft, really do a variety of things, do improv, take an acting class, take some voiceover classes, do the conferences, because that's the work, that's the community at your hands. At the conferences, whether it's VO Atlanta, One Voice US, UK, Vocation, any of those are, and plus all the ones I didn't mention, are good and important because that's your community at your hands. You're going to have agents, casting directors. You're going to have, often the union is SAG-AFTRA is at those conferences. You can ask questions, and then there's all kinds of classes to take, the business portion of it. Understanding, when you sign with an agent, we have to collect legal documents from you. We have to collect either your W-4, your W-9, articles of incorporation, passport. Make sure you have all your documents in order, because we have to collect those so that when you book, that's the business part where they have to process and get you paid. And if we don't have that, we can't get you paid. And if we can't get you paid, we're not in business. So, so just make sure that you have all of your documents in order, right? The business side of it, the creative side, classes, training, workout groups, community, step into that, knowing who the players are. When you're watching animated content, go look up who are the actors playing those roles so that So if you're out at one of the conferences and you meet one of those actors, you have the knowledge. Because what? Knowledge is power. So just have all of those are the things on the business side, the creative side. That's what I would like to leave you with. Know that that's what's important.
Definitely. And I think also to kind of follow up with you, it's really a lot of things that as a voiceover you have to kind of be kind of managing at the same time, as you said. One of the things that also fascinates me a lot in the VO community is the community thing. It's kind of how everyone kind of learn from each other, but also teach each other through social media, through the conference. When I go to the conference, I usually go to One Voice Conference UK. I go also to another kind of things, but for voiceovers, I go to the One Voice Conference UK. The atmosphere is kind of super a community. It's kind of everyone I talk with a lot of them through LinkedIn and support and email and everything, social media, WhatsApp. Many people also have my phone and call me and everything. But when you are there, also you have another kind of feeling, of course, in person, that gives a lot of kind of reality of what we are building together, no? So yeah.
I think I might be at One Voice UK next year.
Okay. Yes.
I'm going to try to couple it with the
Barcelona. Yeah. Mhm.
field there, so
Great.
which I
Yeah, I see DMC also like in one voice conference, and then he always go first or after. I don't know to the retreat.
yeah,
Yeah.
the voice US is usually in August and
Mhm.
Dallas.
Yeah. In UK. Yeah. So community is something that will help you, will kind of like rescue you, and will kind of like provide you almost everything you need. So.
Very true, very true. So those are the things that you want, I would say, as actors,
Mhm.
focus in and focus on. Just you know what I mean, and just make sure, like if you're just starting out, I always say, listen, it's 2 years for an associate's degree, it's 4 years for a bachelor's, 6 years for a master's, right?
Mhm.
So if you're starting out, give yourself time to do your your research, your development, all
Mhm.
of that. Don't walk in and automatically do a demo
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
get right. Build it out. Make sure that when you're ready to
Mhm.
bring yourself to market when you're ready.
Mhm. Well, so everyone who is watching us, Portia is telling you a lot of good things. Like you should follow each of them. Definitely. And yes, we are wrapping up here. I think the interview is kind of like ready. I touched briefly, but most of the things I really wanted. So I'm very, very happy. I hope you too.
Yeah,
Portia.
exciting. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for having me. I'm always happy to be able to have a platform
Mhm.
to talk about these things, so that if it helps one person, my job
Weird,
is
yeah. Also mine, also and source elements is really also wanting that with this conference. Like we want to bring a community, we want to create content which is educative and which is kind of like valuable for the community. You will see a lot of different kind of like interviews with different kind of people from different kind of like industries, kind of like all of them related, of course, with us. And for me, it's really important to have you, Portia, as an agent, because you have a strong voice and a huge impact in many of the goodwill of the industry and the community. So I'm very happy to have you to host like this interview, and thank you for sharing your time, your voice, your wisdom, and your incredibly kind of like inspiring
Thank
job.
you. We'll connect on how to incorporate source elements into the community.
Definitely,
Definitely.
definitely. One takeaway from this interview as well, that
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
my pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you so much, Portia. We keep talking. Ciao.
Bye.